Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. Today we have with us Kim Conway. Kim, Kim has a threefold practice, but mainly she helps women entrepreneurs understand and use their souls to unchain the parts holding them back, and so that you can live with joy, gratitude, and aligned with your purpose. She has some other things that she does that she's going to tell us about here in just a second. But welcome to the show, Kim. I'm so glad to have you here, and I'm so excited to learn about these other things that you're doing too, because they're kind of fun.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here too. And thank you for doing this. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm really excited to learn about. Tell us about the three things that you do as you started to tell
Okay.
me, and then I'm going to ask you about this one part of it that I'm really interested in.
Okay. Yeah. So my background is actually a social worker. And as I kept continuing in life, other things started developing for me, and I became an evidential medium. And from those two things, I kind of birthed my coaching practice, which you just were talking about, which is my Discover Your Soul coaching program, which is really about helping people learn how to blend with their souls and how to use their souls to help you just with everything in life. So I've worked a lot with people who have experienced trauma or traumatic grief, anxiety, panic. But the main thing that people seem to be reaching out to me for these days is really lack of confidence or limiting self-beliefs, which often come from those other things. So that's a big aspect of my work where I use all of my different trainings combined together in that program. And then I'm also an evidential medium. So I do offer readings. I'm also connected with another organization that's an amazing organization to get readings. It's called Very Soul. But as I progressed through my mediumship, I started noticing that there's so many adjustments that we have to make when we're developing our intuition and our mediumship abilities. It really kind of turns your life upside down. So I decided to use my social work skills and my coaching skills. And the main focus now is for me to mentor mediums through all those adjustments and the different personal healing and growth that needs to occur to strengthen the intuitive parts of them. And then the third thing is I have a membership community called the Soul Sanctuary, where we do different events to really help people feel closer to their soul, believe in themselves, and just feel supported. So those are my three main things.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
But they're all very related. And
Yes.
I was so I was mentioning before, we'll talk about the soul sanctuary kind of a little more
Mhm.
towards the end, but I love that you
Sure.
use angel numbers with that. I really want to know about what an evidential medium is and how that works.
Thank you so much for asking that. So an evidential medium, it's a type of mediumship. And basically what it means is if you had a reading from me, I am going to be giving you evidence from your loved ones in spirit, showing that they are still here. So what can evidence be? It can be personality. It can be their maybe their cause of death, or maybe any physical things that they had, different memories, different items, things. Um, what I really aim to do as a medium is tell you a story so that I'm not just giving you little snippets, but really giving you an experience where you feel like you just spent time with your loved ones. So an evidential medium is focused on evidence. And in those readings, an evidential medium doesn't ask questions of the sitter, like the person who's receiving the reading. I'm really giving that information to you. And when I do a reading, I'm instructing people to just say yes, no, or I don't know, so that they're not feeding the medium with information. It's really important in evidential mediumship that the person receiving the reading really trusts that it was coming from their loved one. So that's why we don't ask questions and don't really allow the person receiving the reading to do a whole lot of talking until the reading is over, and then we might have a conversation. And as an evidential medium, I'm in training and have been in training for many years. So we enter something called mediumship development. And there's this whole world of development out there, classes, workshops, teachers mentoring that I never really knew about until this just naturally started occurring within myself. So for most evidential mediums, we kind of enter a lifetime worth of development. You might take some time off here and there, but it's a continued learning process of strengthening that mediumship. So strengthening that evidence, going deeper and deeper and deeper into it so that you're giving more and really serving the world of spirit. So another aspect of evidential mediumship is that we're really here for the world of spirit, to give a voice to your loved ones who are literally every day trying to communicate with you. But of course, we don't hear them. You know, they could be standing in front of you and we don't see them, or giving you a little hug and you don't feel them. So it's their moment to be heard and have that time with you as well. It's a beautiful reunion of the two of you together. So most evidential mediums are like myself, where we're feeling like we are serving the world of spirit. And of course, the person receiving the reading is also benefiting. They may change their opinions about death, it might open them up a little bit, or they might feel that they just received a little healing or had a little closure. Different things can happen. So you're really serving everyone, but it's focused on what does that spirit person want to say. They've got 30 minutes really to say everything they want to say. If you think of like the course of a lifetime, most people will never have a reading, or maybe someone will have one reading in their whole lifetime, and that spirit person knows it. So they know I've got 30 minutes, that's it. So it's really important for an evidential medium to stay focused on what that spirit person wants to say. It's their moment. So I hope that answers it. It's kind of a long-winded answer to your
It does
question,
it, but it leads me into two other questions. One of them is,
okay.
how did you get started? How did you know that this was your calling?
Mm-hmm.
We'll start there.
Okay. Okay. I'll try to keep that answer brief. It wasn't something that I asked for. I wasn't looking for it. My feeling about mediumship before this occurred to me was I didn't want anything to do with it. I never wanted to go to a medium. I thought a medium's just going to tell you about all the bad things that are going to happen to you. Like, I wasn't interested. And what happened to me was I had a loss of my grandmother. And this is kind of a common story for a lot of mediums, is after a loss or a traumatic loss, the mediumship basically ignites. And in my grief with her, I started experiencing her. And that experience grew from just kind of having a sense that she was there, which most people at one point in their life have that kind of a sense, right? A feeling or a knowing, to starting to have conversations with her. And I didn't really think of that as mediumship, because to me, mediumship was something way far away from me that I wanted nothing to do with. I just thought, when you love someone and they pass, why can't you still be close to them? I just believed that was still possible. And over time, that kept growing more and more. Now, I wasn't just talking to one loved one, but quite a few. At the same time, I was working as a social worker in a private practice doing psychotherapy, and my clients' loved ones were showing up in the session, giving me information about the client that was very helpful. Now, I had the common sense not to say that in the session. I just received the information and was just using it. Sometimes they would directly tell me, ask them this, or they're not telling you this, ask them about this. And those were often the most powerful psychotherapy sessions. So as that started happening, then I was like, well, they're not my loved ones. Like, what's happening to me? And you know about divine timing, right? Because you were talking about angel numbers and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, the universe sent me what I needed. They sent me a new friend who is a powerful evidential medium and teacher. And we became close friends. And I told her what was happening to me. And I said to her, I think I have really good intuition. And she laughed and she said, you're having more than just intuition, you're having mediumship experiences. So, long story short of it, she eventually convinced me to start taking a class. And that's what I did. And that's when it really ignited. And I've basically been in development ever since she told me to do that. But I wasn't looking for it. I was 40 when my grandmother died. So I was well into my adult life. I would say once I started understanding that I'm a medium, when I looked back on my life, I always had good intuition. And intuition is like, if you think of things as a spectrum, it's like the lower end of the spectrum of mediumship. I kind of always knew things. And I come from a family who's very much like that. We're very intuitive, psychic kind of people. And I had a couple experiences as a child that made me wonder, was that like a mediumship experience, or was it just my imagination? I can't really say for sure. I don't know. But it just kind of made me look back on my life and know, oh, you always were very intuitive. And that's kind of like one of the stepping stones into mediumship. So intuition is just really when you have a sense about something, either a gut feeling, it could even be a feeling in your body or a knowing. We all have that all the time, right? And then intuitive is more you can glean information about other people and the world around you. If you're doing readings, now you can actually give someone information and do a reading. And then mediumship is communicating with the world of spirit. For all of those things, we are using the same part of ourselves to get that information. So it's just really more of like a strengthening once you get to the mediumship. But it's all the same senses. It's natural to all of us. So I know a lot of people say I have the gift, or people will say, oh, they have spiritual gifts. I don't like that word at all, because to me, it's quite a natural part of every single one of us. It's really just our soul senses and us connecting to them, just like we have physical senses in our body, we have our soul senses. And that's really all it is. It's quite simple, really. So that's kind of a long answer. I tried to really shorten that answer to how I got into all this, but it just happened. It just ignited. And I know so many mediums, and so many have a very similar story to mine, you know, and others really from the start of childhood were interacting with spirit. So it can really happen at any time in your life. Doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. You know, I believed mediums were, oh, stay away from them. But, you know, the joke was on me.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how that happens?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you go along and you think you got everything figured out, and then suddenly the rug is ripped out from under you, and you're like,
I know. I know.
maybe it wasn't
And
all that sturdy after all.
that's right. And those are just our opportunities to really grow and
Yeah.
learn.
And
Yeah,
it just opens the world up
it
in ways
does.
that living with those blinders on doesn't give you the opportunity to see. So,
Absolutely.
why would people come to you? And yeah, let's
For,
just leave it with that. Why would people come to you? What would they be experiencing? What would they want to know? Why would they
okay.
look you up?
Okay. For all aspects of my work, or are we still just talking about the mediumship? Or do you mean more in a
Uh,
general way?
oh, well, let's just talk about the mediumship here for a second,
Okay.
if that's what you're doing.
Okay.
Or is the mediumship part of the the coaching that you
It
do?
is
Okay,
actually,
so
it
why don't
is.
you
The
explain
coaching
it
kind of
that way?
encompasses everything. So If a lot of my coaching clients come to me for the same reason someone would go for psychotherapy, right?
Okay.
So maybe you're having a lack of confidence. Maybe you're having a lot of anxiety or panic. Maybe you keep ending up in unhealthy relationships, or you're feeling disvalued, or you're not using your voice. You're not believing in yourself. And something's shifting inside of you where you're recognizing, I have to kind of work on these parts of myself so I can live a happier life or a more fulfilled life. So those are all the reasons someone would go to therapy. Or maybe you've survived a traumatic experience and you're ready to start working on the healing of that. Those would all be reasons to contact me for my Discover Your Soul coaching program. And in that program, the main thing that we're doing is I'm teaching you how to blend with your soul and use your soul for your own healing and growing. But of course, we're looking at the specifics of what's going on with that individual. And every session we work a little bit differently. So it starts out with me giving the person an intuitive reading, which means, like, if you go to a doctor or a therapist, usually in the beginning, they're taking your history and you're giving them your history so they can kind of make sense of what's going on with you. Mm-hmm. But I start out differently, where I'm basically giving you your history and making all those connections, like connecting the dots of all the things that are going on with your life. And we identify in those readings the repetitive patterns in your life, the things that kind of keep happening. Like maybe you keep getting in unhealthy relationships,
Do you incorporate past lives into this too? Is it just this life, or is it all?
Yeah,
whole
I
spectrum?
don't do past life readings because to me they're not evidential.
Okay.
So I don't want to confuse people too much, but I have done past life regressions where you're putting someone in hypnosis and they're kind of giving their past life. I stopped doing that just because I found that the people coming to me were so focused on the past life and not on this life. And I feel like this is the most important life of all right now. And we can make connections to a past life to better understand like our struggle in this life and do some healing. But staying focused there, I don't think really helps people very much. And past life readings to me are not, you can't ever prove it as a medium, right? So I like to focus on things that are evidential. But I know there's like a whole world of like past life readings out there, and that's fine. It's just not like, it doesn't really resonate for me. But if someone really needs to understand something from a past life, then I do something that involves hypnosis, where we're really talking to their higher self and being given the information to make those connections. Because I mean, personally, I do believe that we live more than one life, even though I kind of don't want to live anymore. Like this feels like enough. But I do believe it's there, right? And so we have all this history. And also I believe that maybe on a soul level, we're living many lives simultaneously. I don't know how it's all really done. None of us really knows. But in my coaching program, we're really focusing on the present life. And a lot happens in our present lives that we have to understand and that we can grow from, and that we need some healing for too. So we will identify those repetitive patterns. We'll identify where we need to focus on the healing, because we do some healing sessions too. And we create, like, what are their goals for themselves? What are they wanting to get out of the program? What do they want the results to be? And then I also identify the things that they're already really doing well at. Because I think we forget about those parts of ourselves. And it's really important to know that about yourself, because everyone has things that they do really well. So we start out with that. And then as the sessions go on, We have a Reiki healing session. So that's healing energy, where we're focused on those healing needs that we identified. I do some education and exploration about the soul, because I really believe that spiritually, in our beliefs, we're all where we need to be. So it's not really about me changing someone's beliefs, but helping them deepening an understanding of their own. And then just giving them some aspects of what I've learned about the soul for them to either use or not use. And talking about the soul is really important, because the goal is for them to learn how to blend with their soul. So then I teach them how to do that. And for a lot of people, it can feel like a meditation. And I record that so that they can use that to be practicing blending with their soul. And that is a practice that they begin to do on their own, and that they can do when we're done working together anytime that they want.
Is this like a difference between your soul and your personality? Do you look at your soul as your
So your
personality?
personality is one aspect of your soul,
Okay.
because your soul will hold all of our personalities. So for instance, when I'm giving a mediumship reading, that spirit person still is showing me the personality that they had, right? It's one of the ways people can identify, oh yeah, I know that's my dad. That's exactly his personality, So it's one aspect of what is encompassed in our souls. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you think personalities change as lives change? Or does
I
the
think
personality
we
kind of stay the same?
grow. I think we grow. So, for instance, I'm actually an introvert, and I started off most of my life really shy. I don't feel so shy anymore, but being shy was an aspect of my personality. But I've worked really hard and grown a lot through that and overcome it. Am I still an introvert? Totally. But I can come on a podcast and talk. I can give inspirational talks. I can run my membership. I became comfortable, but like that's something that I had to grow into,
Mhm.
you know? But that aspect of my personality is still there. I still will have those times when I'm feeling shy. And I kind of treasure now my introvertedness. I don't know if that's a word, but I treasure that because by being an introvert, I feel like it helped me learn how to go within and connect to that deeper part of myself, because I focus there a lot. So yeah, I do
Yeah.
think like the personality is always there, but you grow within it. Does that make sense?
It does. So
Yeah.
if you had a couple cycles, you wouldn't maybe recognize the person the next time they came around. Like I don't think all people that pass stay there like
Hmm.
indefinitely. I believe we
Hmm.
like recycle through.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the beings that you connect with on the other side are beings that are over there now or here, are unseen here, but um, because if they were reincarnated, they wouldn't be there to talk to you. Is that
So you're bringing up a really important, like huge thing. Um, so first of all, I call them spirit people because they're still people, right? They're coming through with their whole life history, including their personality. And I, if I'm connecting to someone who's still alive, not in the world of spirit, then that's a psychic reading or intuitive reading. So the difference between that is mediumship is connecting to someone who's in the world of spirit, who's not in the physical body. The physical body and the ego mind are the only two different things, right? So right now we both have a physical body and our ego mind, but in the world of spirit, we don't have those things. Um, so if a medium is connecting to someone who's here, they're doing an intuitive reading, a psychic reading. Mediumship is always communicating with the world of spirit. And what's interesting is all mediums are also psychics or intuitives. They're both, but not all intuitives or psychics are mediums. Okay.
Yep.
So you can go to someone who can give you a great psychic reading, but they don't communicate with the world of spirit. But if you go to a medium, they can do both for you. So if you just kind of think of that spectrum of growth, everyone has intuition. Everyone has the soul senses to experience spirit, but not everyone can like give a reading. It takes a lot of practice, honestly, and flexing up that muscle. But when you're talking about like people coming back again for another life, my personal belief about that is it's not a quick turnaround. But I know there are a lot of religions where it is a quick turnaround. So this is just me talking about like what I believe. I believe that there's so much planning involved for what our life is going to be, like creating that blueprint, so to speak, figuring out who do you want your parents to be? What kind of body do you need? So what are the genetics that you need? What is it that you want to learn? How is that going to happen? Who are the people that you're going to interact with? I feel like there's like this huge plan that occurs, and that takes a long time. But also, you're also doing work on healing and growing from the life that you've just lived, right? So there's a lot of time spent doing that. And I do believe that it's up to us. Like we have the choice. Do we want to keep spending time in the world of spirit and learn and grow that way? Or do we want to come back as a human being and learn and grow that way? I don't really believe that we're forced to come back. I believe we make that choice. And I keep saying I believe because I want people to just understand, like, this is just my personal belief. I can't prove any of this to you. It's just what I've come to believe through my experiences as a medium and my teachings from my teachers too. Mm-hmm.
It makes perfect sense to me. For the point that I've reached in my understanding of how things operate, what you're talking about does make a lot of sense. And it's interesting to me. I've never actually talked to a medium before, but I've had medium experiences. Like I know my mom came to me after she passed, and it smoothed everything over.
Yeah.
All the rough edges that and just learning about soul contracts, that was a huge healing piece for me. It's like, the things that happened, I asked for them. And the things that are happening to those around me, they asked for those things. So I don't have to fix them. They're not broken. They're on a journey.
Yeah. And it's hard to wrap your head around that. Like as a trauma practitioner, that's a piece that's tricky because trauma is never okay. Like it's never okay to hurt another human being. It's never okay that a person is so deeply hurt. And we see trauma all around us in our world. It's horrific. But once we've survived the trauma, we can't undo what has occurred. But what we can do is use it for personal growth. And I do feel like we tend to grow more from our difficult experiences than our easy experiences, because they make us look at ourselves, and they make us look at others. And we have to work on forgiveness. We have to work on asking for forgiveness or being sorry. Like there's so many things that come out of all of that we can use. But I want to make sure people understand, like, I don't think trauma is okay. I really don't.
It's not okay, but it
but I
changes
do
over
think that like
time.
certain things, right? Like there's just different ways to learn. And maybe we chose it all. Absolutely. Maybe we chose it all. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to wrap your head around. It really is. And what helps me wrap my head around it is from my mediumship, the experiences that I've had with the world of spirit, it's such a place of profound, deep, abundant, unconditional love that when I think about that and when I feel that, it reminds me that on some level, like on the soul level, all is always well. So when I'm going through my own really difficult experiences or scary experiences, I now use that to kind of settle myself down. And that has been very helpful for me. And I do believe that ethical mediumship could really help people in that way of showing people really the power of the love that's really around us and also a part of us. Like we have it too. We have it too, and it gets lost in the shuffle. It gets buried by the ego mind and our life experiences and our beliefs and everything else. But it is there. So that is something that gives me a lot of peace.
They're all really connected. It's
Yeah.
like we are all parts of
Mm-hmm.
the the energy that is the universe, that is God.
Yeah.
And and we are experiencing for it different aspects of experience because it's
Mm-hmm.
all knowing and it is love, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all that it 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 can't have external experiences without putting us out here
Mm-hmm.
detached to a certain
Mm-hmm.
extent to have these experiences, to take them back. And
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, it's kind of
And it's so complicated, isn't it? Like we, on the one sense, we're all one, yet we're having a very individual experience,
mhm.
which makes us feel like we're separated. But we know that we, a compassionate person knows that we're not, right? Because you feel for other people when they're hurt. You feel for strangers. You feel for the world and things that are going on. And it can put you on the floor, right? It can really put you on the floor. And that's also a reminder of the we are all connected. If one person is hurt, we're all hurt, you know? So there is power in that if used
And it
correctly.
changes, it causes change through the society of the world
Mm-hmm.
altogether. I mean, there was a time when it was,
Yeah.
perfectly acceptable to burn people at the stake. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't, it was awful and horrible,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not unacceptable. If it were
Right.
unacceptable, it wouldn't have happened. It doesn't
Right.
happen anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it's like abhorrent to us, that idea. But there
Yeah.
were societies that didn't think too much about it. They thought that was,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly acceptable thing to do. So
Mm-hmm.
it does change society in terms of what at any given time is acceptable. Like I,
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine in, another 100 or 200 years that things that we do now that we think is, that's totally fine to do that, would be like, oh, I can't believe we did that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, that's so
Yeah.
cruel, or that's
Right.
so
Right. Right. And that's a good point because it's like a reminder of like how we are growing in humanity, right? To be more humane. Well, really to be more spirit led, right? Love led
Mhm.
when and we need that reminder when there's so many things going on that are horrific. Um, but when you were talking, I was just thinking like how, a couple generations ago it was okay to spank your children, and now like you can't do that, right? So like even in these when we change in these little ways, it can help change us in bigger ways, right? So yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
example. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it makes the world better. I,
Mm-hmm.
you just move a little bit along. And I think conversations like this really help
Yeah.
open people's eyes to like the possibilities, and the
Mm-hmm.
idea that, we are all connected and we are all in this together. And it is really each of our personal responsibilities to step up and step into the gifts that we're given and to research
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the soul sanctuary. with your angel
Mhm.
number 1111. It's so affordable. So, tell us a little bit about that and how people can find you and join your group and get in touch with you and work with you and all this
Sure,
stuff.
sure. So it's really my passion to help as many people as I can. And I never want someone to not be able to work with me for financial reasons. So I very specifically structured I do free things. So anyone can come, and then very, very low cost things compared to my coaching program. So the Soul Sanctuary is one of those low cost things. It's $11.11 a month. And the purpose of that is the same as everything I do, is to just help bring you closer to your heart and your soul and learn how to use it. So in the Soul Sanctuary, we have a private Facebook group where people can just interact. And I have 2 events that I do every month. They're on Zoom, so anyone can join, and I record them. So I have people that come to the live events, and then I have people who just watch the recording. So whatever works for you is perfect. One event is, I call it the cafe. And the cafe, we take a topic. I do a little teaching about that topic, and we have some inspirational discussion. And then the second event is called a healing circle, which is usually related to whatever that topic is. And I run a healing circle. Each event is only an hour, so it's not really time consuming for people. So it's easy for people to catch up on the recordings too. And when you join, like from the start of your joining, those recordings are always available to you. So especially for the healing circles, a lot of times people go back and watch those repetitively because I might do like a deep meditation, or I might have been sending Reiki. So every time they watch it, they're getting a little Reiki, which I know sounds strange, but I believe it's
Eh,
real.
Yeah.
Because
Once it
people
happens,
email me
it's
with their
out there.
experiences that I'm like, oh, that's so fabulous. So it's always there for you. So it's a really easy way for someone to be able to work with me that feels like, well, your coaching program's too intense. I don't want to do all of that, or it's too costly, or I'm not a medium, but I want to work with you so I can do this. So that's the Soul Sanctuary. And everything is just on my website. It's very easy. Or people can just message me on Facebook and have a chat. It's very easy to get in touch with me.
And
Mhm.
we'll be sure and put the links in the show notes
Okay.
below.
Mhm.
Is there one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
Just that, I guess, my personal passion and mission is for people to really understand that no matter what your life experiences teach you, no matter what people have told you about yourself, no matter what is said to you over and over by that critical ego mind, the truth of you is so much more. That within you lies this beautiful soul that is all unconditional love, and it's a power, it's a creator, and it's abundant. It's patiently waiting for you to become who it knows you already are. And I believe it's the truth of who we are. And that's what I just hope people start understanding about themselves. And it doesn't mean every second of the day you live in that space. I don't, right? I get caught up in my mind. We're supposed to have this human experience, but that there's a place you can return to and recharge and remember really who you are. And as you do, you just become more loving to everyone and everything around you and create a better space.
I love that. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining me today. This has been
Oh, thank you. It was lovely to spend
so,
time with you.
yeah, so great. Thanks.